What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003 and starting to get very optimistic about this Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons get a win over the Atlanta Hawks by a score of 148 to 143. Very, very big night for milestones as the Pistons get their sixth straight win. The first time they have won 6 straight games in over 10 years. They have 148 points, which is the most points scored in a game in regulation without overtime since 1984, and was just overall a great game. So in this video, we are going to go through, highlight 3 key performances from tonight, and just talk about how we have found ourselves 5 games over 500 this late into the season. So the first player that we do need to talk about is going to, of course, be Cade Cunningham. He finishes the night with 38 points, 7 boards, 12 assists, a steal, 3 blocks, incredibly efficient, 14 of 24 from the floor, and also 7 of 10 from the three-point line. The craziest part about all of that is that he could have had even more stats, but he cooled off a little bit in the second half just due to the scheme that the Hawks threw at him. In the first half, Cade had 29 points and 10 assists, and when they came out after halftime, they were double teaming Cade the second he caught the ball 35 feet away from the hoop. So that made it a lot harder for Cade to score the ball and accumulate stats, but it made everybody else on the team's life easier as they were getting open looks throughout the second half that they weren't getting in the first half. So overall, an amazing game for Cade, but not surprised or shocked one bit, is that is just the player that he is turning himself into. It is pretty casual for him to have a 38, 7, and 12 game at this point in time, and I couldn't be more excited about what the future holds for him. So, moving on, the next player that we do need to highlight is going to be Malik Beasley. He finishes the night with 24 points, 7 rebounds, which I think is a season high for him, 3 assists, and a steal. He was also very efficient, 7 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 10 from the three-point line, and most importantly, hit some of the biggest shots of the game. As I mentioned, Cade was getting double-teamed a lot in the second half, right when the game was for the taking. A lot of those plays ended up being wide open catch-and-shoot threes for Malik Beasley, who is definitely the guy I want shooting those types of shots on our team, and he, of course, made the Hawks pay. Malik Beasley is just so fun to watch because after his second or third three for the night, he's going to do something after he gets another one, after the shot goes in the hoop. So always a super exciting time watching Malik Beasley, and it is crazy how he can also just casually come off the bench and score 24 at any given moment. So moving on, the next and last player that I do want to highlight is going to be Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder plays what I think is probably his best game as a Piston so far, finishes the night with 16 points, 4 boards, and 7 assists, 5 of 10 from the floor. And a couple things interested me about Dennis Schroeder tonight. When Dennis Schroeder originally joined the team at the trade deadline, I kind of thought that most of his minutes would just come as a backup point guard, leading the bench unit as Cade Cunningham sat on the bench. But tonight, there was a lot of minutes where Schroeder and Cade shared the floor, especially in the second half. It seemed like a bit of an adjustment from JB Bickerstaff, because when Cade started getting double teamed, having Dennis Schroeder on the floor with Cade to be a bit of a release valve definitely looked pretty good, and I think can be something that we use going forward at times when Cade does get doubled. So that's not the first time that they have experimented with Cade and Schroeder minutes, something that I didn't anticipate to see a lot of, but I think that it's going to be something that they use as a wrinkle going forward, and something I'm going to keep my eye on in future games as well. But overall, a pretty good game from Schroeder, and kind of a sneak peek of what things can look like going forward, because this is only, his 4th game or so with the team. But overall, a really, really good game, a very high-scoring game, but a fun game to watch nevertheless. I know that we've talked about it ad nauseum on this channel, but it is just wild that the Pistons are 5 games over 500 right now. This is the first 6-game winning streak in over 10 years. That goes all the way back, I think, to right when we first traded for Reggie Jackson. Maybe that was even before. It's so long that I don't even remember. But it does feel just a little tiny bit weird because, of course, the 6-game winning streak was right in the middle of All-Star break, so there was 8 days without games, so it doesn't feel as bang, bang, bang as a traditional 6-game winning streak, but it's a 6-game winning streak all in the same, so definitely can't complain whatsoever. Looking forward, I don't know how far they can extend this, but what I do know is that it has been even longer since they've had a 7-game winning streak, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can play against the Clippers here, I believe tomorrow, back in Detroit. So overall, a really, really fun game. It was kind of a little bit of a weird one just because it was so high scoring and we couldn't find a way to contain Niang for the Hawks, who ended the night with 27 points, and Trae Young, who was able to get to the foul line and shoot 15 free throws at a crazy rate. So a little bit of a weird game. Also wasn't the biggest fan of how that one was officiated, but that is nothing new for us. But overall, couldn't be more impressed and happy with this team. Right now, just looking at the roster and the box score, everybody pretty much pulled their weight. We had 7 guys in double figures, all of the starters plus Schroeder and Beasley. Simone Fontecchio did have some type of hand injury that limited him to only playing 5 minutes in the first half. He did not return to the game. I don't know how serious it was because I didn't even see it happen. I'm going to assume not that serious, but talked about him in the preview video, potentially getting hot. Clearly, that wasn't really able to be the case tonight because he only played 5 minutes and was 1 of 3 from the floor. But outside of that, everything else looked great. I guess I could nitpick about Jalen Duren and Ausar Thompson getting in foul trouble, but by the end of the game, neither of them were fouled out. They were both available in crunch time, so can't be too upset with that. So overall, just super, super impressed with this team. Having so much fun watching this team, and I can't wait to see how far they can extend this streak. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch up soon.